Welcome to our latest MSX podcast, where we'll dive into the world of electric trucks and take a closer look at the innovative technology behind TEVVA trucks and how they will find their way to the market in the future. In this interview, we are honored by Marcel de Rycker.
Thank you for having me.
Head of European sales at TEVVA, and Heiner Prümper, sales account executive at MSX.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will be discussing the future of sustainable transportation and the role that TEVVA trucks are playing in shaping this future. Marcel is already well known in the industry. I think everybody knows him. But for the listeners who might not know Marcel, here's a brief summary. From a multinational background, Marcel has offered 30 years of experience in the automotive and commercial vehicle environment. Having worked across continents for several leading OEMs, and strategy, product and business development, sales and marketing and distribution. Today, he is the head of sales of TEVVA electric and hydrogen trucks, and those introducing actually in mainland Europe, the TEVVA 7.5 tons to 19 tons electric and hydrogen truck. Once again, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be with both of you.
And also Heiner is a very experienced automotive executive with over 30 years of experience, mainly in after sales and network development. He spent most of the time with Renault and Nissan Alliance and is an advocate of total quality management. Heiner has also been very much involved with the transformation of today's after sales into EVs. And my name is Jochen Schultze. I'm Global Marketing Manager at MSX International, also working over 30 years in the automotive business, mainly in sales and marketing roles with several OEMs. But now, after the introduction, let's start into the discussion. Marcel, welcome. TEVVA is a British company that specializes in electric and hydrogen trucks and is a new disruptor on the market. Can you give us some insights into the company and what they are aiming to achieve?
Yeah, TEVVA is a UK-based company that is building electric and hydrogen trucks, ranging for now from 7.5 ton all the way up to 19 tons. What we're doing is we are innovating the market because we do have an electric truck. There are some in the market, but specifically we're building it on a naked Euro cargo Iveco chassis, and where we basically bring all the technology, the management system of the batteries. We are actually assembling ourselves the batteries. We have developed the own braking system. We have the own powertrain. And so on. And in addition to this electric powertrain, we're adding hydrogen, and the hydrogen is there to refill or recharge the batteries based on different software or programs that we can develop as we move on. This is in a nutshell. We have started delivering the first 7.5 ton right-hand drives in the UK. And we'll be starting to deliver the first electrical truck in April, May into mainland Europe, which is the strategy to develop there. And we'll be bringing soon the 7.5 ton hydrogen truck and the 19 ton that will be coming certainly beginning of next year.
Okay, thank you very much for that insight. As you said, TEVVA is committed to sustainability and reducing carbon emissions. What is the future product? You already mentioned a little bit. Which technologies are you using? Purely battery, or you said hydrogen as a range extender?
Yeah. Well, our aim is to do something for our civilization. I mean, saving the planet is nice, but saving our civilization is even more important. And the idea is to really bring something that is sustainable. That's why we are also, assembling our own batteries, because we want to use we don't want to use rare earth material. We are using hydrogen. Hydrogen is in a high hype right now. Everybody's talking about it. We can get it from non-fossil energies and sources. So we're really looking at, we don't want to do green bashing, but, we really have this idea that we want to do something for the planet and our civilization. Hydrogen using a fuel cell technology to recharge the batteries based on, specific routes that we are preparing, that are being entered into the system to make usage of electricity or hydrogen at the right moment. These are the kind of things where we're looking, using these trucks in low emission zones, which will be becoming more and more, developed in Europe. we're also aiming, of course, the US market, which we will be developing in the coming months.
Thanks a lot. So then if I look into your answer here, range is not an issue anymore for truck here?
Well, there are two things. If you just look at the full electric vehicle, our trucks are capable, when they're empty and all the environment is fine, to go above 200 kilometers. Let's say they go up to 180 kilometers, and when they are loaded and when there's a lot of traffic and so on. 180 kilometers for last mile delivery or medium delivery is large and sufficient. If you look at all the parcel services that you have in Europe, I mean, they drive on average between 80, 85 kilometers per day. So the 180 kilometer, there's no range anxiety. Should there still be an issue with the range, and we do audits with our customers where we put, either they have their own systems or we put dongles in the OBD and track what their routes are and so on, we would then eventually recommend rather using a hydrogen truck, because there we are extending the range over 400 kilometers on a 7.5 ton.
Okay. But if you look at today's grid, Heiner, we saw, especially in California, for example, last year, that during heat waves, they asked to turn off air conditions because the grid is really at the edge. If we would switch with all the trucks to electrical battery vehicles, would our grid be able to cope with this?
Interesting question, Jochen. Definitely. It's an immense challenge for all the stakeholders in this area. How they are organizing the charging infrastructure. And especially if it comes to truck or B2B business as such, it's mandatory to keep in mind also how you organize it under the economical situation of like, for example, transporter, right? As you said, the parcel services.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to install or to offer OEM, for example, solutions for them. So you have what you have to do to really to think about a total mobility service. And for example, in the charging area, you can think about having also depot charging. That means if you have one shift transportation, then you can charge overnight. Or what you do, for example, if you have a multi-shift transportation company, then you look for so-called opportunity charging. So whenever the truck is not in use, find a way to charge it. So, and that's the two different solutions you have to keep in mind at the moment. And of course, as said at the beginning, all stakeholders have to be involved. That means you have to think about the governments, the authorities, the power
Providers.
Thanks a lot, Marcel. And that's, to bring them all together and to develop solutions in this matter. That will be the key challenge of the next days. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's already mandatory to do it now.
Yeah.
And if we are looking to hydrogen is, I think, the medium or longer term strategy for TEVVA. Is that something where we will be easy compensate you?
If you're looking at hydrogen, it's similar. What currently under discussions is to install hydrogen, so-called charging parks, in some areas, and that will be similar to EV, because then you can load. Doesn't matter if you have an EV park or a hydrogen park to refill, then comes to the same situation. It's end of the day, you have to find an investment for the transporter or for the company who bought a hydrogen truck, how he would implement this at his place or how the structure will be. And for the OEM, end of the day, and also for you, I guess, it's important to offer a total solution. So long story short, it will come to a situation where, and we see it today already, it will be the solution as a truck as a solution offer. We will see that later on.
Mhm. Yeah. So coming to you, Marcel, the question, how is TEVVA planning to do this?
Well, I like very much what you said, Heiner. We're calling it truck as a service.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, a truck is a production machine. And, we really need to have it working constantly. So what we're doing is with our customers in terms of energy, we're working together with all the leading refilling hydrogen providers that are actually having big plans. I mean, if you look at the whole of the EU, it's about 60 billions of euros that are being put into the business because of the environmental, economical situation, because of the pressure that's in the US and on hydrogen, because they're pushing strongly for it. So the whole thing is, the whole package that we're having with our customers today is we're looking at truck as a service as an offer that would encompass not only the leasing rate, the usual things that you find in a full service leasing, like, maintenance and repair, warranty, and other services that go around, but also the refueling solutions. And we work with our customers before we actually give, a truck to a customer or sell a truck to a customer. Yep. We basically do an audit exactly on what is the usage and what is the need and what infrastructure do they need. And we have a team at TEVVA that is working on electricity and on hydrogen that are very, very, deep into the subject and can really clearly identify what is it that you need in order to optimize and to be flexible enough to implement an electric or an hydrogen truck. But truck as a service will be coming. The European plan of deploying a hydrogen station every 100 kilometers on highways across all of Europe will be coming. There are all these green valley solutions. I mean, and there are really many of them. There's a website you can read. There are about 150 different, just in Europe, green valleys that are being deployed. And your region here, you're just putting 3,500 kilometers of pipelines for hydrogen. So I'm not worried that we won't have the solutions. It might take a bit of time, but we will have them.
Okay. Cool. Networks, let's go to networks. Building networks is really important for selling, servicing, and maintaining a charging cost. We have talked about charging a minute ago. And I think it's vital for the success of a brand. Well, TEVVA has no legacy network right now and really different technology. We're interested to hear in a minute how TEVVA is approaching this, but Heiner, just from a base, where do you see the business model of automotive truck OEMs right now in terms of their business model? How are they approaching this?
Hopefully, Marcel will agree with me. So in the real truck business, so talking about more than 7.5 tons and so on, not talking about the LCVs, I would say we will not have so much differences to today. So there is moving due to the technology solutions like hydrogen, EV, or also alternative fuels and so on. That's okay. That's technical development, no doubt about that. But from the if you talk about, for example, agency model in the truck business, I would say I don't see that for the huge truck, because there are two, let me say, individualized or tailor-made for a customer. If we talk about LCVs, so the smaller trucks or vans, for example, there we have the opposite. There we have definitely also the idea of the OEMs to go for an agency model. And then it will become really a challenge for the OEMs, because you have today a couple of OEMs which have a network, which is passenger cars, van or LCVs and truck. Then you have networks which have passenger cars and vans only. And then you have networks with vans and trucks together. And to have those multiple networks, the OEM has to find a way to how to restructure it, how to make it useful for this. if they go, for example, on the passenger car side and then the van side more for the agency model, while for the truck, heavy truck business, middle truck business will, from my point of view, stay similar as it is today due to the high grade of individual solutions for truck.
Okay. Marcel, how is TEVVA approaching this?
Well, fundamentally, I agree with you, Heiner.
Thanks.
With a few comments on it. Two things. The first one is, which target market are you looking at? And if you take, the whole truck market, you have the large fleets, you have the national fleets, and then you have, the little fleets, 3 or 4 trucks. Okay. So those are different target groups. That's one side on how you address and what the distribution model is addressing to those. And then you have a second thing you need to look at is the maturity of the technology and the willingness and the acceptance of the early adopters. That's how they're mostly called. I mean, the ones that are ready to try new technologies.
Yes.
And based on this scheme, you need to look at each market a bit different. And you have differences, especially in the 7.5 to 19 ton segment for us, between Spain, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Italy. There are different markets and different requirements. So the distribution strategy there, we're really talking about distribution, is direct sales. And I think this is working as long as you can make sure that you have a service network, because, those are production machines, they need to work. So you need to have that foundation. But we can have direct sales to these larger customers that are early adopters. Those ones, I don't think you need a sales network. As you grow and as you move on and as the technology becomes more mature, then you need to start to think. And if we go to the agency model, or if you go to a traditional dealer network, or if you actually use existing OEMs that want to complement their range with our products, those are discussions that I'm having 3-4 times a day because a week, because we're talking to many people right now that want to distribute our products. So we're still not 100%, we haven't ascertained that we're going to go this way or this way. We will be going on case by case, market by market.
Okay, I understand. I agree with you as well. And it's good to know what in Europe, what TEVVA in this is doing. That's interesting.
It's the term of maturity. We're a new company. We're starting the business, and then it is not that easy to say we're going to go this way, because at the end of the day we might be wrong.
Okay, so Marcel, you just mentioned service in your discussion here, which brings us to the next question. Heiner, on paper, the Navy is really simple to repair, like a washing machine with wheels. Is that the same for trucks? Would you agree here, or?
Saying as simple as a washing machine to repair, I don't know if it's true. It's different.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, it is. Jochen, it's to be said, it's different. So there is still a complexity. But the complexity moved away from mechanical repair to, for example, digital repair. So you have another way you need another way to repair the car. In this matter also, we will touch it later on. I guess it's OTA, over the air updates. So what you see currently in the hydrogen vehicle is, from my point of view, please correct me, Marcel, similar to a truck for repairing. Of course, we have no, to compare to traditional ICE trucks, we have no huge oils and exhaust systems and so on. That's all gone. But now with EV and hydrogen, you have new challenges in repairing and maintenance the trucks. And for example, you have a lot of you have to look at the cooling for the battery, also for the hydrogen component, and therefore there is, of course, a different way of servicing and maintenance, that it's less, saying it's less complex, I wouldn't agree on that.
Okay. Yeah. Marcel, what's your take? What's your take at TEVVA for service networks?
Well, for service network, let's first just the outskirt of Heiner on the technology. Hydrogen, for example, as well as electricity, are topics that have very strong regulations. You need to have technicians that are certified to work on it. You have some security rules on hydrogen where, hydrogen is just hydrogen. I mean, you got to be a bit careful there. It's not dangerous, but if you do it correctly, there's no, it's easy to do and so on. But, it will, especially in the beginning, I think, generate some constraints. You need to have the trucks maybe verified, like you call it, the TÜV in Germany, maybe more often or something like this. I mean, nothing is really clear today as yet. There are projects, law projects that are coming out for Europe on how to regulate all this. But, the whole service maintenance will be impacted by this. And that makes me think, in terms of TCO, because that's at the end of the day where we're going to get to, the TCO and the parity of the TCO is not given right away at the beginning. It'll get there when, especially when the fuel price will reduce. I mean, the fuel price, the hydrogen and the energy price will reduce, then we'll be fine. But for the rest, I think we will be pretty much at par if we move on. Regarding a service network, because that was your question, it's more the network. You need to have your truck running. And we have a chance at the beginning that we're distributing a 7.5 ton battery electric vehicle with a range that makes that this vehicle is coming back to base most of the time. That means you don't need to have a coverage, which is all over a country. You have there nearby where this customer is located, we will have a service point. And interesting enough, just as like I mentioned earlier on, we have a lot of people that are asking us to distribute the TEVVA trucks. I do have the same for service, who is approaching me and, they want to have additional business. And it's two things that are, ticking for them. The first one is it's additional business. It's a business case. The second thing is they want to go with us because it's new and they don't want to miss the train. A little bit like they missed the train on passenger cars with electric vehicles, where a lot of people in the beginning were saying, well, I'll never get there. And finally it's there. It's a reality. So a lot of people are really, we want to know how it works. We'll take, we'll start together with you.
Perhaps to add some point, because you mentioned the TCO, total cost of ownership. New studies currently which are in the market, they're saying with 2030, 2035, you will have minimum the equal to electric vehicle trucks, where total cost of ownership for an ICE and an electric vehicle will be comparable. And a little bit later, in between 2030, 2035, it will be an advantage for EV. And hydrogen will become, as a study said, a little bit later, around 35, that there will be total cost of ownership will then take over against ICEs. So that what the let me say, the studies are saying at the moment.
At the moment, the problem is most of the studies are, European wide. If you do these studies, and we have done them internally, we have done them market by market. And, the cost of hydrogen is going to be different in France to Germany to the Netherlands and so on. And that has a huge impact. I mean,
of course,
so this might have an incidence on some markets where we might reach parity much earlier than those studies. We're following this, of course, every day, and our customers as well. We're having workshops with some of our customers where we sit down together and we really go through their costs. And we really go down the whole thing to compare at the end of the day, where are we? And most of them do understand today that there is an additional cost to going for a greener environment and so on. So it's accepted. And that helps us also for the business, of course.
But that's interesting that you say you do this profit, or let me say,
TCO
calculation with the customers.
Yeah.
And that is something which I would expect from the OEMs also as a kind of a service.
Exactly.
If you offer a vehicle, which is perhaps EV or hydrogen, and to discuss with the customer with his solution, because it will be different, as you said, country by country, and also from the branch to the branch. So a delivery or a parcel service will be different than
it's
over.
Yeah, but we do see significant differences on each use case. I mean, it depends on, what are the payloads that are being used, how, what is the geographical environment, if you have lots of hills or not and stuff like this. So that's why we sit down with these customers and we do those studies, because it's open book for them. And and it's also easier for them to understand why there are cost differences.
Yep.
And it's not just the cost of the truck.
Thank you very much, because that was already my next question. Over the air updates, data, that one of the big questions here, how can we support the customer with this one? Thank you very much for your insights here. Customer experience is also a very strong topic, but that's also something I think TEVVA is already fulfilling with these studies. Are there any additional programs you're running like this right now with BDCs or any other activities?
Well, the entire customer experience starts with the first contact where, we're going into the use case together with them. We look at them, we identify what their needs are, and together come to how is the best application and where does it make sense to implement an electric or an electric plus hydrogen truck. That's one of the topics. The second topic is really, including, geographical stuff and TCO calculation and so on. Well, then you get to the second thing is, what is the solution that we're offering? And the solution we're offering there is a TAS. It's a complete package where, we work together with our partners based on the location, based where it is and so on, with energy partners and so on, to set the whole thing up. And then, of course, we are also with our service partners, where also we have a European-wide breakdown service and everything, where we can, if something should happen on the truck, we can be there right away and as quick as possible. So this is the whole customer experience where, even when we start a project with them, usually, you start a project and then things are just waiting to happen. We are setting now up and dimensioning our teams so that we have people that can follow on a regular basis the advance of the project. Because in some situations, you don't have the right charges. So we need to look at the infrastructure. So it takes a bit of time. So we need to follow the project. We need to make sure that the truck also is the right truck for their application, because some want some refrigerated trucks, some want to have all sort of options on their trucks and so on. So we really need to work together. And then once the truck and the whole system is running, we have telematics, which is part of our TAS offer, where we have a basis package on TAS. And then we have several layers on what we could offer in addition. In some countries, you need to have direct connections with toll booth systems and so on. And then we have, of course, the whole predictive maintenance and all these topics where, we can identify and we can actually, intervene on the trucks before anything should happen.
Uptime,
and uptime is the key word as well. We're aiming to get a 98% uptime for our customers.
Yep.
And believe me, the guys at the factory are doing everything possible to make the best trucks, and I think they're succeeding quite well.
Great, thank you very much. Heiner, anything you would like to add here in terms of customer satisfaction on truck?
Yeah, of course, customer satisfaction or customer experience. That's where MSX comes in, where our experience is, where our stakes are to help the OEM like you to make it happen and to really to get the best out of the information you have, and to bring it then really to make it as a huge success for the OEM and for the customer as well. Talking about the data, that's interesting. Connected data. It's you can't sell an electric vehicle truck or a hydrogen truck without connected data, because it's a simple thing like where is the next charging station on the navigation? So you need it. And all the data you have, what we see currently also is, what are you going to do with all the data? To read them, to analyze them, to bring them all together. That's something which is currently for OEMs also a key question, which, for example, we help them to answer that. So to bring all the data together, as you said, predictive maintenance or predictive repair, it will deliver for the whole network. It doesn't matter for the customer, for the service, for the OEM. It's a win-win-win situation, because if you have predictive maintenance, you can plan, organize the whole supply chain of the parts, the repair date, and so on. And as you said, also the car has to run its business. And with planning of these things, it's to be honest, from my point of view, a no-brainer to work on this and to develop it further. And as you both said, uptime, that's the key. And without, you will have a difficult to survive in this business.
Yeah, I just read a recent study that we are right now at around 10 to 12 terabytes a day generated over the air for a car or a modern truck. So that's a huge amount of data we need.
But again, you need to what you're doing with all these terabytes and to bring the different information you have together, analyze it. And that is something which will be key for the next time.
So data is the new oil.
Data is new oil, big data. And the important fact out of big data is two things, I think. The first one is you have to ask yourself the right questions. What are you going to use it for?
Yeah.
Because there is data which is nice to have, but it doesn't really help you further to improve the customer experience. And you always need to be extremely customer focused. I am getting this data from my customer, of course, with all the privacy and everything that goes with it, but you need to exploit it so that it brings him an advantage. And if you can do this and you can explain that to him and you really can offer him that, then you're really, really good.
You have to, as always, you have to show him the added value, which you can deliver with this information for him, to him. It's talking about driving behavior and so on. That's easy to understand for the customer why he should give you access to the data.
Yeah.
Okay, time flies by. Thank you very much today. I think we're at the end of today's episode. I just want to thank you, Marcel, for being our guest today.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure to be here and really enjoyed the moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Heiner.
Thank you
for being part of this. We are at the end of today's episode. I want to thank you as listener or viewers of this video. I hope there were some insights for you today. If you want to get more information about MSX, just switch over to msxi.com, our website, to find out more information about MSX International. And if you want to get in touch with us, this video will be on YouTube. So below there is a comment function, so you can add some comments and we will come back to you. Other than that, thanks for joining us today and have a great day.